Chosen one, you are not hearing these words by accident. It is the hand of God that has led you here, right to this moment, at the exact point you needed most on your journey. There is no coincidence here. Every step, every decision, every quiet moment you've endured has been part of a heavenly plan. This is the meeting point between the divine and your reality. There is a deeper reason why your heart pauses as you read these words. You are standing at the threshold of a transformation too great to be measured with human eyes. The moment you've been waiting for is no longer hidden in some distant future. Scripture reminds us in Habakkuk 2:3 that the vision awaits its appointed time. Though it lingers, it will surely come. That time is now, not tomorrow, not someday, but right here, in this very atmosphere you're breathing. This is the hour when promise and destiny collide, creating an irreversible turning point. You feel it, don't you? That unexplainable stirring in your spirit, a quiet anticipation before the storm of blessing. Heaven has already spoken, and even if you cannot yet hear it clearly, a sound of victory is echoing all around you. What the enemy meant for defeat, heaven is using as the foundation of your breakthrough. Now is the time to ready your heart. The sacred atmosphere is rising, not in mockery, but in overwhelming joy, the joy of triumph. Every action you thought was small, every step you considered insignificant, is reverberating across eternity. God not only sees you, He listens to every movement you make with delight. Before you go any further, pause for a moment and tap like, so this message can reach other chosen ones like you. Subscribe to become part of the spiritual army now rising. And if you truly feel this connection, leave the number 999 in the comments, a sacred symbol of divine connection. The laughter of heaven is not ridicule. It is the sound of victory already secured. It is the confirmation that the schemes of darkness have failed and that your path has always been held in His hands. Do not be too hard on yourself. Do not measure your worth by someone else's standard. You are walking right where you need to be. You may look back at past stumbles and think you are too fragile to go on. But heaven does not see you the way the world does. Where you see failure, He sees faithfulness. Where you see only a tiny seed, He envisions an entire forest in bloom. The trembling prayers you thought were insignificant, those shed through tears, are echoing in eternity as proof of an unshakable faith. I've walked through my own dark seasons, where every prayer seemed swallowed by silence. I've had to forgive while my heart still bore cracks. I've clung to the faintest flicker of hope in the densest night. And in that stillness, I realized even the smallest acts offered to Him can touch eternity. Heaven is rejoicing over you today. This moment is not just another day survived, it is a quiet victory. You've broken chains hell tried to place on you. You refused to stay silent when silence was expected. You chose to step forward, even when fear tried to hold you back. You did not retreat, and all of heaven is celebrating because of it. Think of a toddler wobbling through their very first steps. Not perfect, not steady, yet enough to move a parent to tears of joy. That is how God looks at you, not for perfection, but for the courage to keep going. You are still here, despite every attack from the enemy. That says it all. You are living proof that the schemes of darkness cannot extinguish the light within you. Every time you choose hope instead of surrender, every time you pray in the midst of despair, it sends a tremor through hell itself. The unseen actions, your sacrifices, your forgiveness, your whispered prayers, carry the greatest weight in the sight of God. In His kingdom, it is often the things no one praises that are remembered forever. Nothing you've done in secret is wasted. Each one is recorded in eternity as an indelible mark. Everyone must step out of their own shadows. On my own journey, I've seen what looked like wasted moments turn out to be honored by heaven. Tiny seeds of faith, quiet steps no one noticed. These became the anchors for future breakthroughs. Today, you have sown seeds the enemy cannot uproot. Seeds of perseverance, seeds of hope, seeds of faith. They will blossom into harvests for generations you may never meet. Heaven has already responded. God has smiled, and his smile signals a shift in the unseen realm. If you could see what is happening beyond your sight, you would never again doubt the power of the ordinary things you do. Your whispers here have become shouts in heaven. The very plots designed to bury you have been shattered. Heaven's laughter is not mere comfort. It is a decree, a release of power. The battle has turned. Favor is moving toward you. The enemy once studied your weakness and laid traps in your hesitation. But today, you have broken that cycle. You gave when you had nothing left. You stood when you should have fallen. You spoke when silence would have been easier. That small act ignited a chain reaction beyond comprehension. Like a chess game, the adversary thought he was winning, but your unexpected move overturned the board. That is why God laughs. He sees what darkness can never predict. Heaven is not looking for grand displays. Heaven responds to genuine faith, to truth, to purity. One silent agreement carries more weight than 1,000 empty declarations. One hidden act of righteousness holds more value than hundreds of public performances. You are not small. You are not invisible. Every breath you take declares that the plan against you has failed. This season is not about mere survival. It is about acceleration. God's laughter is the signal of the harvest you are about to step into. It is not a fleeting joy or a random emotion. It is the sign of victory, of strategy, of a sacred proclamation. When God laughs, he is not just reacting, he is communicating. That sound pierces into unseen realms, signaling that the atmosphere around you has shifted. Chains once thought unbreakable are cracking, doors once shut are trembling. Time itself is converging to usher you into the fullness of what was promised. His smile over you today is proof that your story has entered a new season. Your survival has been stronger than you ever imagined. You often downplay your endurance, calling it weakness, yet every breath you've held on to has been a direct challenge to hell. You survived storms designed to bury you. You walked through nights meant to shatter your hope. And now you are still seeking him, and that is no small thing. Heaven calls it victory. Every sunrise you rise again is an announcement to the unseen world. The plan against me has failed. I know this, because I too have lived through days when simply getting out of bed felt like battling an army. I whispered prayers so faint they were nearly silent. I chose hope while drowning in questions. Later, God showed me that each of those moments carried eternal weight. Heaven does not only look at the destination, it honors every first step. The world waits for applause, but heaven rejoices simply because you move forward. A trembling yes today is enough to shake eternity. A hidden act of obedience carries more power than 1,000 displays of performance. The smile of God is the guarantee that your steps will carry you farther than you can imagine. The world only praises what can be measured, but heaven treasures what is hidden. A whispered prayer in the dark can break generational curses. A quiet act of forgiveness can unlock doors for your children. A silent sacrifice can birth supernatural increase. Do not underestimate the unseen, for heaven magnifies what the earth overlooks. The laughter of God signals that the battle has turned, the enemy has lost, and you are stepping into a new rhythm. Today is a moment of breakthrough. The ground beneath you is no longer still, it is shifting. The seeds you once planted in pain and tears are now rising with new life. What seemed forgotten or buried is beginning to surface. God does not laugh by accident. His smile is a sign the shift has already begun. This is not a distant possibility. It is a present reality. Remember the years you prayed in silence, the seasons when no visible result appeared. Yet not a single moment was wasted. They were seeds, waiting for the right season to bloom. And now the laughter of heaven is the rain that makes the soil fertile. It is God's confirmation that the time has come. No more delay, no more vague waiting. Your obedience carries legacy. The actions you take today are not only for now, they are paving the way for generations after you. Your children, even those you may never meet, will walk through doors you have opened with your faith. Communities will be healed, families will be set free, all beginning with your yes in the darkest hour. Heaven does not laugh because everything is easy, but because God sees results far greater than the suffering. Your journey carries eternal weight. You are not just surviving, you are fulfilling a mission. That is why you must no longer underestimate your steps. Every time you choose to move forward, you are declaring to the darkness, I am still here. The laughter of God is a guarantee. It silences the whispers of doubt and breaks the deception of fear. It is a spiritual shield surrounding you. It is not the end, it is the beginning of transformation. When God laughs, everything shifts in your favor. You thought waiting was delay, but it was holy preparation. In the silence, God was shaping you. On the foundation of days that felt meaningless, He was building your breakthrough. And now His laughter is the signal. The harvest is near. I know well what it feels like to pray year after year without seeing an answer. I understand the pain of watching others step into seasons of joy while you remain in silence. Yet every time I reached the brink of despair, I heard a gentle whisper, be patient. My timing is coming. Looking back, I now see that God was protecting me from blessings I wasn't ready to carry. Quietly, He was preparing me for a harvest that required deeper roots and stronger endurance. This is the very truth of your life. The years that seemed wasted were in fact a sacred foundation. The laughter of heaven signals that the season of hiding is closing and manifestation is right ahead. The walls that once confined you are beginning to shake. The limits that bound you are cracking. The doors that once rejected you are swinging open. The laughter of God is the affirmation. Do not overlook this moment. Your obedience in the secret place has created momentum in the visible realm. The prayers you lifted with tears are rising as a fragrance before my throne. Your hidden sacrifices are resounding louder than any words. The forgiveness you gave without applause has been etched into eternity. Heaven laughs because God sees how those moments are weaving together into destiny. Remember Joseph, forgotten in prison, overlooked by those he helped, yet never abandoned by God. Every hidden day was preparation for the palace. And when the time came, in a single moment, God raised him up. That is the meaning of heaven's laughter for you, a sign that your quiet faithfulness is about to be openly recognized. You may feel invisible, wondering if anyone understands the weight you carry, but heaven records every detail. Not a single tear is wasted, not a single act of faith is overlooked. The laughter of God declares that harvest time has come. This is not arrogance, it is holy assurance. When you know God has laughed, you will carry yourself differently. No more shrinking to fit, no more apologizing for the oil on your life. That laughter is heaven's weapon, dismantling the strategies of darkness and rewriting the ending of your story. I believe this is the moment God is declaring something profound over you. What you still see as unfinished, He has long considered complete. What you are waiting for is not outside His plan. The laughter of God is not random. It is his invitation for you to hope again, to dream again, to expect goodness again. Do not let disappointment choke your vision. Do not let weariness smother your desire. If God has laughed, it means the battle has already been decided in the heavenly realm. The only thing left is its unveiling in the natural, and that divine sound is the announcement that the day is drawing near. You don't have to be perfect for God to move. He does not respond to human standards. He responds to faith. One small beginning, one simple act, one faint prayer, all of it can alter the course of destiny when placed in his hands. Lift your head high. A new season has arrived. Heaven is no longer silent. It is rejoicing over you. The echo of the Almighty's laughter is confirmation that what once tried to bury you will now become the very substance of your rising. Hold on to it as a living promise. Let it dissolve every lie fear has planted in your mind. That laughter is not weak. It is the echo of victory, shaking heaven and earth. When God laughs, limitations collapse. When God laughs, the impossible bows to his authority. It is the sacred decree that your story is being rewritten in a way no power can stop. Do not measure your journey by human time. God's timeline is never late. He has not forgotten you. He has not missed his appointment. That laughter is the assurance that the time has come, and when it comes, everything begins to move in a completely new direction. The years that felt wasted were, in truth, corridors of preparation. Every silence was a classroom. Every tear was a prayer being stored up. And today, as heaven laughs, it is the undeniable sign that what he promised has already begun to take shape. Every whisper you breathe in prayer is a hidden seed sown. Every tear that falls is water nourishing the soil. Every quiet step of obedience is like fertilizer feeding what is waiting to rise. The laughter of heaven is the sign that the ground has opened and the harvest is beginning to break forth. What you thought was buried is coming back to life. What you believed no one noticed is now being revealed. Heaven rejoices because deliverance has been set in motion and the promises are taking shape. Remember Sarah's story. She once laughed at the promise because it seemed beyond human possibility, yet the laughter of God outlasted her doubt, and he remained faithful to his word. Just as Sarah held Isaac, the living proof of that promise, you too will hold in your hands what God has ordained for you. Heaven is laughing because the impossible has bowed to his authority. Beloved, begin to act as if the promise is already here. Pray as though the answer has arrived. Speak as though the blessing is in your hands. Walk as though the door is opening before you. The laughter of God is not a vague signal, but a divine confirmation. It is heaven's declaration that everything has already been settled, that your future can no longer be hindered. I have walked through seasons that seemed to bury all hope, where I laid dreams to rest that I thought had died forever. I watched opportunities close and believed they would never return, but God moved in unexpected ways. He opened doors, made connections, and provided from places I never imagined. In those moments I realized heaven was still laughing, even when my eyes could not see it. You may feel weak or unseen, but heaven has already prepared you and embraced you. Do not downplay your progress. Do not belittle your obedience. The laughter of God reminds you that you are chosen. You are anointed. Your scars will become evidence of healing. Your tears will flow into new rivers, and your pain will be transformed into strength. His joy is greater than your fear, and his decree silences every doubt. The laughter of God is not a passing sound, but the final affirmation. It is heaven's proclamation that the story is already finished, the victory already secured, leaving nothing left to debate. Stand tall, anointed one, for the King has laughed over your life. That sound is not fleeting happiness, but a force that extinguishes fear, silences anxious whispers, and reminds you daily that when heaven laughs, the outcome has already been decided. His laughter is your shield, your crown, and the very breath sustaining your faith. That sound does not fade. It echoes, weaving through every corridor of eternity. It is not a momentary celebration, but a living declaration that continues long after the act of obedience that sparked it. When God laughs, His joy becomes the wind lifting your steps, breaking old patterns, and laying new foundations in your life. Never underestimate the power of a single act of faith, no matter how small it seems. In heaven's sight, that trembling yes carries eternal weight. A whispered prayer shakes the unseen realm. Quiet obedience holds everlasting authority. God laughs because He knows what the enemy cannot see, that your steps have already triggered a chain reaction in the invisible world. I once thought my prayers were nothing more than passing breaths, but I later realized they thundered in the spirit. My smallest acts of obedience created ripples far beyond my vision. Chains broke, doors opened, provision came from places I never expected. In those moments, I felt the laughter of heaven, delighting in the invisible power being released. You may not always feel strong, and you may not always see the evidence, but heaven does not measure by feelings. It measures by faith. A seed of faith sown in weakness can grow into a forest of transformation. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, prayer over silence, or steadfastness over surrender, heaven laughs because the script has been broken and the enemy's plan has collapsed. That laughter becomes the soundtrack of your resilience. The laughter of God has been the very force propelling me forward. I have discovered that one bold decision, to break away from the old patterns, is enough to unlock an entirely new season. Beloved, this is your moment. That sound is not only joy for the present, but also a preview of what is coming. It declares that acceleration has begun, that doors are beginning to open, that the very atmosphere around you is shifting. You are no longer here just to survive. You will rise. You are no longer here just to endure. You will overflow. The same heaven that laughed yesterday is still laughing today, because your future is unfolding in victory. Chosen one, do not despise small beginnings. Do not underestimate trembling first steps. Do not compare yourself to the noise or the blinding spotlight of others. Heaven does not measure by volume. Heaven responds to depth. A quiet act of integrity outweighs 100 flashy displays. A whispered prayer can shake the unseen more than 1,000 speeches. This is why the laughter of God matters so greatly. That sound reveals what truly carries value. Imagine parents watching their child take their very first steps. They do not demand perfection, nor do they criticize the staggering attempt. They rejoice and celebrate. The joy is not in perfection, but in the courage to try. Heaven looks at you the same way, not with disappointment, but with delight in your obedience. The laughter of God is heaven's applause for your courage to keep moving forward. That sound is louder than every lie of darkness. Let His joy drown out the whispers of doubt. Let His decree erase every forecast of failure. If heaven has laughed, the outcome is no longer uncertain. Victory is not a theory, it is destiny. Heaven does not wait until you cross the finish line to celebrate. It rejoices right now. Every time you choose faith, you are pulling the sound of heaven into your atmosphere. That sound will sustain you, shield you, and strengthen you until the promise is revealed. You are walking to the rhythm of heaven's laughter, not to earn approval, but because you already have it. The King has laughed, and His laughter is your strength, your covering, and your crown. The world may chase after bright lights, loud applause, or public recognition, but heaven seeks sincerity, depth, and truth. What you call silence, what you think is invisible, God calls holy. A small, trembling yes from a faithful heart carries more weight than thousands of hollow proclamations. A hidden act of integrity has greater value than 100 performances for attention. You may feel forgotten, but heaven is right beside you. You may think you are ordinary, but God has marked you as extraordinary. Do not diminish your worth. Do not believe the lie that your obedience only matters when others notice. Do not compare your steps to someone else's highlight reel. Heaven does not measure by noise, it measures by depth. Today, you have already proven that depth still lives within you. You may have been overlooked. You may think what you do makes little difference, but your survival itself is a loud testimony. Every breath you take declares, "I am still here." Every step forward whispers, "The plans against me have failed." And each time you wake and choose to continue, heaven rejoices. They are still standing. Your endurance has been underestimated for far too long. You have fought battles that seemed unending, but what was meant to destroy you did not succeed. Every scar you carry is evidence of survival, and that survival is a prophecy of acceleration to come. Heaven is declaring that your season has shifted. This is no longer just existence. This is momentum. This is growth. This is your time of increase. The laughter of God is not passive. It is the signal that the tide has turned, that the ground beneath your feet is preparing to yield fruit from every seed you once sowed in tears. The stirring you feel is the sign. Heaven's laughter is pulling breakthroughs from the unseen into the present because you chose to say yes when saying no would have been easier. Every small act you make is like a stone dropped into water, sending ripples that touch heaven itself. Chains are loosening, doors are opening, seeds are awakening. If God has laughed, then your victory is no longer a matter of if, only a matter of when. Perhaps you were taught to celebrate only at the finish line, but heaven begins to celebrate at the very first step. Heaven treasures the journey, not just the result. The progress itself is sacred. Once you grasp this truth, the weight of not yet will vanish, and you will walk with the confidence of the chosen. That shift in perspective will change everything in your life. You will no longer chase fragile approval from people, but instead live from the unshakable approval of God. When that confidence becomes your very breath, nothing will intimidate you. No lie will silence you. No delay will shake you. No rejection will define you, because the laughter of the King has already settled the outcome. He sees you here and now, the quiet effort, the trembling obedience, the small steps forward. He has seen it all, and he smiles. That laughter is not only proof that your story is not over, but also evidence that your obedience is stronger than you realize. It signals that something has already been rewritten in your favor. Carry that sound in your soul. The Creator, seated on the throne, delights and laughs over your life. Let that sound silence every doubt and every whisper that tells you you're falling behind. If the King is laughing, then the ending has already been decided. And that ending is victory. The laughter of heaven is never shallow. It is not a fleeting joy, but a sound of authority, prophetic and powerful. It is a decree, a seal that your obedience is shifting the unseen. What you thought was ordinary carries eternal weight. Heaven laughs because your testimony will become a blueprint for others. Your scars will become medicine for their wounds. Your yes will touch generations you may never meet. The enemy knows this, which is why he tries to silence you. But heaven laughs because God sees the waves of influence that will spread from your perseverance. Every prayer carries the power to shake the darkness. Every act of endurance is thunder in eternity. I once thought survival alone was enough, but I discovered that it is perseverance itself that opens the door to triumph. I began to realize that unseen eyes were watching me all along. They saw me persist, taking another step when giving up might have been easier. They drew strength from my agreement. They saw courage in the scars I once thought marked failure. And in that moment, I understood. My survival was no longer just my story. It had become a doorway of breakthrough for others. Heaven laughs because the obedience of one can become a river flowing into many lives. Your life, O Anointed One, is itself a living sermon. The scars you carry preach louder than the brightest speeches. Your resilience has been etched into eternity as a testimony. The breakthrough you've walked through is the very map others will follow. This is why heaven rejoices. What once was seen as failure has become wisdom. What once felt like the end has become a weapon. The valleys you once passed through have now become roads leading others to freedom. Every step you take is a testimony of God's faithfulness, and heaven delights in it. The laughter of heaven also announces a sacred transfer. What was stolen will be returned in abundance. What was held back will be released. This is no coincidence. It is covenant. The laughter of heaven is the sound of supernatural redistribution. When the doors open, step in boldly. This path was prepared long before you even recognized it. No wall can block it. No barrier can hold it back. That laughter means the key is already in your hand. I know the feeling of doubt in seasons like this. I once asked, why me? Am I truly worthy? And the Lord reminded me that the question was never about worthiness, but about surrender. Heaven does not laugh because you are perfect. Heaven laughs because you said yes to carry it, and that obedience carries eternal weight. Your agreement breaks generational chains, releasing freedom that echoes forever. That laughter mocks the schemes of darkness and declares, the battle is won. What once buried you has now become ground for blessing. What once tried to silence you now amplifies your voice. Let that truth anchor you. If God is laughing, you can rest, trust, and move forward. That laughter is not shallow. It is covenant, an eternal decree that the ending is victory. The decree has already been issued, the outcome already set. The laughter of the King of Heaven is not just a distant echo, it is a shield, a faith, and an everlasting crown over your life. That sound is not a faint whisper, but the roaring thunder of eternity, a victorious anthem reverberating through all creation. When he laughs, it is not a fleeting moment of amusement. It is a verdict. His laughter carries power, proclaiming the certainty of triumph, even when your eyes cannot yet see it. That sound shakes the unseen realm and shatters every hidden plot. His joy is your guarantee that your destiny is forever sealed in his victory. The laughter of God is not trapped in the past, nor reserved only for the future. It is here now, surrounding you like a fortress. When he laughs, angels begin to move. When he laughs, locked doors swing open. When he laughs, chains once thought eternal crumble to dust. That sound shifts the atmosphere, pulling heaven's alignment down to earth. It is the sign of acceleration, the announcement that blessings are rushing toward you. I know silence can feel heavy, and waiting can wear down the heart. I too have sat through long nights, wondering if my prayers ever reached beyond the ceiling. But when breakthrough came suddenly, I realized heaven had never been silent. He had been laughing all along, not to mock, but to protect. That laughter proved the delay had a purpose. The waiting was preparation, and what seemed wasted was shaping something good. His laughter means you were never abandoned, only hidden for the perfect moment. Your survival is no small thing. It is a living prophecy in motion. Every breath you take, every step you walk, declares to the darkness that its plan has failed. You prayed when you were exhausted, forgave when bitterness would have been easier, hoped when despair surrounded you. Each act shook the unseen and stirred heaven's joy. He does not simply rejoice in your survival, he signals multiplication. What was barren will bloom, what was broken will be rebuilt, what was delayed will arrive suddenly. His laughter confirms your portion is not scarcity, but abundance, not burden, but overflow. Heaven rejoices because your yes carries a weight that stretches beyond time. Your surrender is not merely a personal act, it is a wave of change touching stories you will never see. The faith you plant today becomes an eternal seed, sprouting and bearing fruit long after you are gone. God's laughter does not flow from your achievements, but from a covenant already sealed. Therefore, it never ceases to resound. O Anointed One, remember, His laughter is not only joy, but also a declaration of war. That sound demolishes unseen strongholds, shakes the strategies of the enemy, and boldly proclaims, "This battle is over." Heaven laughs because every weapon formed against you has become useless. Heaven laughs because curses have been turned into blessings. Heaven laughs because the pit dug to bury you has become a well of water in a season of thirst. What was designed to destroy you only revealed the steadfast strength within you. Let that sound sink deep into your soul until it becomes your own anthem. Carry it into the darkness when fear rises. Carry it into the morning when doubt whispers. If He is laughing, you can rest. If He is laughing, you can trust. His joy is your shield. His laughter is your confidence. His joy is your crown. So stand firm. Pray as if the answer is already in your hand. Speak as if the door is already open. Walk as if the crown is already on your head. You are not moving toward victory. You are moving from victory. You are not striving for approval. You are living in the approval already given. The King's laughter surrounds you, upholds you, and covers you. Delays have been shattered. Testimony is alive. Your story is unfolding. Heaven laughs because your outcome is already victory. You have been chosen, anointed, and destined for triumph. The throne has shaken, and your name has been shouted in joy. It is the signal that the Kairos moment has begun. Your silent prayers have shaken the heavens. Your weak whispers have been written into victory. This is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. The supernatural transfer has begun. Doors are aligning, blessings are converging, and breakthrough is accelerating toward you. The once barren ground will bloom. The tears you sowed in secret are turning into a harvest of abundance. Step forward with holy confidence. Lift your head high in gratitude, knowing the one who holds your destiny is laughing beside you. His joy is your strength. His laughter is your shield. His promise is your inheritance. Every act of obedience, no matter how small, reverberates in eternity.